Today, let's talk about skid plates and not just what they're for, but more importantly, how to install them yourself. And don't worry, doing this in a wood shop is completely optional. I used to do this in my apartment building, actually, so you can do it anywhere. Skid plates are just these little plastic pieces that are attached to the nose and tail of your skateboard. Skateboarding is rough on wood, and as we pop, scrape, and scoop our boards on the ground, we slowly wear away at the wood. Now, skid plates come in to protect our skateboards from that wear and tear. Instead of the board getting scraped into the ground, instead we are shaving off small layers of plastic from the skid plate. And since we do a lot of tricks that involve intentionally scraping your nose and tail on the ground, it really helps a freestyle skateboard last longer and just work better. Because if you do freestyle focused tricks like pogos on a board that's razor-tailed, it's probably going to chip incredibly quickly. So skid plates are awesome for prolonging the life of the board. And if you've ridden your board for a while, think that it's still doing okay, but your skid plates are looking pretty thin and gnarly, you can just switch these out and make the board last even longer. But let's put these in together because it's not quite as intimidating as it seems. I know that in the beginning, I absolutely hated the idea of putting skid plates in myself. I was super terrified of just screwing up the board, but it's really not that hard. If you're really nervous, Waltz does often carry these little skid aligner tools that you can use to try to help keep the skid plates even and in line where you want them to be. And you really don't need that much to do it. You just need your skids, your binding hardware, some kind of marker or pen to mark the holes, and then just a simple drill and a 1/4 drill bit is what I use for Waltz skid plates. It did take me a couple of drill bits to figure out the exact sizing, but the 1/4 works the best. And if you don't have these, try turning to your network. See if you know anyone who does who wouldn't mind missing it for a day, because I think it's handy to be able to know how to do stuff like this. They can also show you how to put the bits in and stuff if you don't know how, or don't want to Google it, because you could just Google it. So I actually am going to eyeball this here. I don't really want to deal with setting up the skid plate aligner, and I'm pretty good at figuring out where I like them now, which is just a hair inside the edge of the board, even all around. So I'm going to take my marker here and mark that where I want them. It's still about there, and right over here. Now this is tough because it is a black marker on a black skateboard, which isn't normally the case, but it should be fine. I can see where the dot is. We're going to repeat this for the nose, putting it even down the center and just a little bit inside the edge of the wood. Okay, those look pretty even. I guess the benefit to the skid aligner is not having that moment of, oh wait, is that even? It is though, I think it is. And the good thing is that if I make a mistake, it's my fault. So now let's get into the fun part, which is drilling. And one thing that I think is really important is just when you go to drill the hole, make sure that your drill gun is perpendicular to the wood. You don't want to drill straight down if the board is tilted, because then your skid plate screws are going to be sideways inside the wood. You want to drill straight down into the wood so that the bolts as well go straight through the wood and are not bent or at any type of angle. I'm going to make this even easier for myself, because once in a while putting that first little drill in can be difficult. So I'm going to take a screw and just press it in so that this tip here on my drill bit has like a little indent to sit in. Be parallel to the board. Looks pretty parallel. Do make sure that when you're doing this, your hand is firmly holding this board down so that it doesn't move when the drill is going. This is the anxiety part, right? This is the part where you get anxiety, and I totally get it. way to get this out is to actually switch it to reverse. And then it will pull out a lot easier. Put the gun back in to forward mode. Put that tip right in the little indent that I created. Try to get it perpendicular the best that you can. And commit. Put it in reverse and slowly pull the trigger to pull it back out. And then hopefully you have 2 perfectly drilled skid plate holes. Or close to perfect, right? That actually worked really nicely with the screw bit, so I'm going to do the same thing. Put my little leading mark. And then we're going to do the same thing. Try to go straight down and perpendicular to the nose. So once again, I'm going to put the tip of this drill bit into my little leading mark here. Perfect. And try to be as perpendicular as I can. And commit. And the thing is, anyone watching this who's a carpenter, a cabinet maker, someone who works in construction or uses these tools in any way on a daily or perpetual, often, frequent basis, you probably watch this and have a bunch of critiques or tips for me. And I think that that is good and that is okay, because what I really want to show in this video is that just anyone can do this. You know, you don't have to be a professional to learn a little bit of the basics of a tool like this, so that you can be self-sufficient and put your own skids in. I think that's really cool. That's something that at least I strive for. Okay, so next is the easy part. We're just gonna put our skids in. You will get some of these little furs on the other side, and that's just pretty normal. It happens. Especially if you're not a professional like I am not. All right, we got our tail skid. The tail skids are a little bit flatter, a little tiny bit wider, right, than the nose skid, which is a little more rounded. So we're gonna put this on our tail, and you do that by taking this binding bolt right here and placing it onto the grip, where the grip's gonna go, this side of the board. Oops. I'm just gonna push those in there, take the screw and get those furs out. So put the binding bolts in. Put these little machine, I think they're machine screws, in here, inside your skid plate. And then we're just gonna try to line them up and screw them into the binding bolts. Now you can either use your power tool on what I would recommend be the lowest setting that you have to screw those in, or you can use a screwdriver. Just gonna use a screwdriver because why not? And if you feel like your binding bolt is spinning, just put your finger on it and screw it in. Sometimes if it doesn't make a tight enough grip inside the wood, it actually spins. And there you have a perfectly or good enoughly installed skid plate. Now I'm actually not going to install the nose right this moment, but that's because I'm going to set this deck up. And I typically grip the deck first and then put the skid plates on. I like the bolts to be visible outside of my grip tape, but some people actually grip over them, so the choice is yours. Anyways, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a good day.